A big focus for retailers today is how to become customer-centric. Retailers are spending millions of dollars on systems that collect and analyze customer data, with their goal being that they need to better connect with their customers. So, Chapter 11 starts off with a conversation on what customer relationship management is. We'll talk about today why CRM systems are so important and why retailers are spending millions of dollars in order to build customer relationship management systems. Customer relationship management is a business philosophy. It's a set of strategies, programs, and systems that all focus on identifying and building relationships with a retailer's valued customers. So CRM helps retailers build a base of loyal customers in an effort to try to increase their share of wallet, which we will talk about that in a bit. So let me give you a Kroger example here. Kroger, through their CRM system, they did a study and they found that consumers who bought roast beef also bought other deli meats, cheeses, mustard, mayonnaise, and bread. They also were able to find through their CRM system that customers who bought turkey didn't generally buy any of the toppings or complementary products that go with sandwich meat. And so, based on that data, they were able to determine that they should be advertising roast beef in their weekly ad so that customers would buy that and other products as well. So let's start by defining customer loyalty, because the goal of customer relationship management is to build customer loyalty. It's also to increase share of wallet. But customer loyalty is not just having repeat customers in your store. A customer might only shop at your supermarket because it's the only one in town. So there's a risk that if another supermarket opens, you might lose your customer. So it's not just that you have customers who come back every week to shop. Customer loyalty means that you have customers who are committed to purchasing merchandise and services from your retail establishment, and those customers are going to resist the activities of competitors who are trying to gain their patronage. So I want you to remember back to Chapter 5 where we talked about competitive advantage, and we talked about how customer loyalty can be a sustainable competitive advantage. Because if the customer is loyal, they will not switch to one of your competitors, even if the competitor offers a little bit lower of a price. Loyal customers tend to have a bond with the retailer, and that bond is all based on an emotional connection. The consumer feels that the retailer is their friend. They enjoy shopping there. They enjoy the experience they get. They enjoy interacting with the associates. Things like that build customer loyalty. We talked about that again back in Chapter 5. But, that personal attention and customer service, those are really the two most effective methods for developing this loyalty. And that loyalty is going to guarantee that your consumers are not going to shop at your competition. So today, what we're going to do is walk through a CRM process and talk about how to turn data into that customer loyalty, right? So that's the goal of our CRM process. We're going to take all this data we collect from our customers and we're going to use it to create loyal customers. So this image that you see on the left-hand side of the screen is Exhibit 11.1 in your textbook. Exhibit 11.1 is illustrating the CRM process, and there are really 4 activities in the CRM process, and so we're going to talk through each of these 4 activities throughout the Chapter 11 lectures. So let's start with activity 1. If you are a retail establishment and you want to build a CRM system in order to collect data to grow customer loyalty, this is the very first thing you have to do. The very first thing you have to do is collect customer data. And that customer data is stored in the information systems that we talked about back in Chapter 10. So collecting customer data is the first activity. And when a retailer is collecting customer data, they have to build a customer database. And so this customer database is going to contain all of that data the firm's collected. It becomes the foundation for all subsequent CRM activities. Now, your customer database at a minimum must contain the following data points. If you're building a CRM system, you definitely want to track transaction history. Some of the things that you collect through a transaction history would be a purchase date, what products were purchases, how much the customer paid, the profit that you made on that purchase, and you want to know whether it was purchased on a special promotion or at a regular price. And so I want you to think about that. Why would we need this data? So how could a retailer use transaction history data? And you're welcome to talk about that in the Chapter 11 discussion boards. So transaction data is the first bit of data we need. A retailer is also going to want their customer contacts. Note that that says customer contacts, not customer contact information. So this isn't collecting their phone number and address yet. This is collecting how many ways that customer tries to contact the retailer. So we want to track on the individual customer how many visits they've made to our website. We want to track any comments that they may have made on our blog or social media sites. We want to track how many times they've called our call center or our service helpline. We want to track all of the different direct mail pieces or promotional ads that we're sending those customers. So this is all of the ways that we actually interact with that consumer. So we want to track all the ways we interact. And again, you can start discussing why in the discussion boards. Another set of data that we want to collect in our database would be the customer preferences. So this is when we start to collect things, bits and pieces of information about what is our customer's favorite color, what brands do they like, what fabric of clothing do they like, what flavors of potato chip do they like, what size do they wear. So we collect that customer preference so that we have information that we can use for future advertisements or emails or communications. And then, of course, when we build our customer database, we do want that descriptive information. So we want both demographic and psychographic data that describes our customers. So we want to know how old they are. We want to know where they live. We do want to know their phone number. A lot of retailers collect information such as how much money their shoppers bring in a year. And in terms of psychographic data, things that retailers collect might be your spouse's name, your child's name, an anniversary date, a child's birthday date. Maybe the retailer collects information like whether or not the customer has any pets and what those pets' names are, and maybe their pet's birthday. So that psychographic data can really help to build a profile. And again, you can talk about why you think that is in the discussion boards for Chapter 11. You can also talk about in the discussion boards information that certain retailers have about you and what you think the data they're collecting on you is that's being stored in their database. So activity 1 is collecting the customer data. And let's talk about for a second how the retailer is going to identify that information. It's very easy to collect information online and in the catalog channels because customers have to provide a lot of that information before products can be sent to them. So when you are typing in your business or your address, your residential address or a company address, you're typing in your credit card information, things like that online, it's very easy to collect data. In-store data collection, however, can be pretty difficult at times. So ways that stores do collect data, some stores offer their own credit cards. And so that makes it easier to collect data because a consumer has to apply for a credit card. So you can get information that way. Membership cards or frequent shopper cards are another way to collect information. But what about people who do not have a membership to your retail store or do not apply for a credit card? How do you get their information? So there's 5 approaches for collecting data in store that we're going to talk about today. And the first is asking customers for information. The second way we can do it is we can offer frequent shopper programs or loyalty programs because, again, consumers have to apply for these and provide information. Biometrics is a trending activity that retailers are using to collect data. And biometrics are human characteristics such as a handprint, a fingerprint, maybe even a voice, vocal inflection. So I'm curious, and it's something you can discuss in the discussion boards, do any of you provide biometric data to a retailer? And I'll give you a hint here. Think about some of the service retailers that you use. So those are the three main methods to collect data. And then the other two, of course, to make 5 would be credit cards and membership cards. So activity 1 is collecting the customer data. And now we're going to talk about activity 2. So activity 2 for the retailer as part of the CRM process is actually analyzing data and identifying your best customers. There's a term in retail called customer lifetime value, CLV, and the customer lifetime value is the expected contribution from the customer to the retailer's profits over their entire relationship. And so when we measure customer lifetime value, what we're looking at is past behavior to help us determine how valuable that customer is going to be in the future. So we'll use an example here to talk about how we measure customer lifetime value. This example here shows the shopping purchases over the last 12 months for 2 customers, Susan and Brittany. And so if you look at these data points from the last 12 months, we see that Susan spent $350 in our retail establishment and Brittany spent $400 in our retail establishment over the last 2 months. Now, let's take a second and look at those 12 months individually. So Susan shopped 10 out of 12 months at our store, and she spent anywhere from $10 to $50 when she shopped. Brittany shopped 1 time at our store. She shopped 1 month, and she spent $400 in that 1 month. So, which customer is more value? Which customer has more value for the retailer? The answer is Susan. The reason why Susan has more value for the retailer is that we know that she is shopping regularly with us. Maybe Brittany was visiting from out of state. Maybe we had a product on sale, and so she bought 1 large time purchase. There's questions there. Will she ever come back? Right? So when we look at Susan, we know that she does shop. And so she's more valuable to us. And there are some activities we can do to hopefully increase her spend, her annual spend, to get it to where Brittany's spend is. And it might be easier for us to do that. So a couple of things I want you to think about in terms of customer lifetime value, and you can post your thoughts in the discussion board, are these 2 questions here. Who has a higher CLV? A customer who pays full price for their purchases or customers who pay sales price for their purchases? Second question, who has a higher CLV? A customer who returns items frequently or a customer who only makes a few returns a year? Right? So full price versus sales price, many returns versus few returns. Right? So measuring and analyzing our customer data helps us determine who our loyal customers are, and then it also helps us improve our decision making. So not only do we identify our best customers, but we can improve some decisions that we make as we're making retail decisions. So we're going to talk about for a second how we use retail analytics to help make our decisions. There are 2 ways we can analyze and use data. We can do a market basket analysis, which we'll talk about, and then we can also use data to target promotions. So in a market basket analysis, data mining tools help determine which products appear in a market basket that a customer purchases during a single shopping trip. So this is looking at your entire cart every time you go to the grocery, or looking at all of the items you purchase at a given time. And it's looking at what products you typically buy together. And this analysis can help suggest where stores should place merchandise and which merchandise to promote together based on trends that show up. So this type of analysis counts the number of times that 2 purchases get placed at the same time. So there is a reason why bananas are in the produce section and also sometimes set up on display at the end of the cereal aisle. So grocery stores have determined that consumers buy bananas and cereal together. There's a fun study that a retailer did And they found that beer and diapers are often purchased in the same shopping trip, and I can vouch for that. But beer and diapers are often bought in the same shopping trip. So what this retailer started doing is, after this analysis, they started putting beer on display at the end of the aisle where the diapers were sold. And they also started putting beer advertisements in the aisle where diapers were sold to help encourage those purchases to happen. So another paired product you might see quite frequently, there are always ping pong balls sold in both the toys and games section of a store, and ping pong balls are also sold with the paper goods and the picnic goods by the red Solo cups. So you can think about why that might be. But there's a couple other items that tend to get placed together in a retail store to encourage purchases that are based on this market basket analysis. So we often see tissues placed in the cold medicine aisle, and we also see them in the paper goods aisle. Bug spray is sold both in the hunting gear section and the household cleaning section. So think about a few other items that you've seen paired together that at first seem a bit odd, but once you think about it, it does seem to make sense. So retail analytics helps us determine which items to place near each other in the store, and then it also helps us target promotions. So retailers discover that customers buy like items, and so generally customers buy shampoo and conditioner together, or peanut butter and jelly together. So knowing what products customers buy together help retailers make pricing decisions. So they might put shampoo on sale but leave conditioner full price, because they know that if they can get the customer to buy the shampoo, they'll also buy the conditioner. Or you might put peanut butter on sale but leave jelly full price, because again, if people are buying that peanut butter, they're also going to be buying the jelly. So it just helps retailers make some decision. So we've looked at the first two activities, collecting customer data and then analyzing that data to help us identify customers and improve our decision making. The next lecture will cover the remainder of the activities in the CRM process.